I trade spot and futures on BYDFi, and if you want to set up an account now, send me a message once you've created your account with your username and UID on Telegram, and I'll put you into a randomly selected prize draw. I've got $10, $20 and $50 gift cards to give out, which basically go against your trading fees, giving you free trading fees basically until the gift cards run out. BYDFi. Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look at XRP. Might as well look at something different because the overall market still points to generally being okay in the interim. We got the Bitcoin, I don't want to call it the Bitcoin, but Bitcoin itself cooling down a little bit on this money flow index. However, when we do cool down a little bit, what might be the thing that moves into the next high that comes down to consolidate. So we'll see. I'm still in favor of this kind of behavior taking place over here, so a 20-30% retracement on Bitcoin when it reaches its final destination, and then from there we can speculate at the time, like as in now, whether we're going to get continue on altcoins as in the form of rotation. I think that there is evidence to say that we will, but until we see it, just take every little pump as a gift and use this environment to trade in. And if you're hodling, that's fine as well. That's absolutely fine. But just be aware that we might still end up into a larger consolidation. Maybe the end of this month or the beginning of next year, and that can carry us down a lot lower. So just we all know that. I keep reiterating that is the reality of what it looks like right now, and whether we get the alt season continuation in the form of that rotation, which again I have to stress, there's evidence to say that will happen. Obviously, everybody wants to watch a video that gives them an absolute, definite, guaranteed outcome. This is definitely going to happen, but really, that's not how anything in the world works, is it? It's all about monitoring the situation, working out what is statistically most likely going to happen. And at the moment, I can definitely say that the likelihood of Bitcoin reaching a peak soon is very likely, and then we have to work out whether or not the entire market consolidates with Bitcoin, or we get an alt season in the form of rotation like we did over here. So just putting it out there, just for people who haven't probably watched my videos, I've been saying it now for what feels like about 4 weeks really, that Bitcoin is relatively overheated, and altcoins too, to an extent, are overheated, but we've already had a pretty awesome alt season anyway. And what we're looking for now isn't for fresh money to come entering into the market. We're looking for a rotation event, which basically takes money from Bitcoin and preferably from Ethereum and as well. Although Ethereum hasn't quite really popped since reclaiming this resistance and flipping it to support, which it has done. So this is also part of the reason why I'm thinking a rotation is definitely on the table, because Ethereum has broken out, it has retested, and now we'll be looking for it to move on and up to higher areas, 2,400, and then maybe even as high as the mid 3,000s. So all of that is absolutely plausible. I'm just saying that right now we do have to monitor things day by day, and if you're coming here for a magical definitely this is going to happen type vibe, I can't give you that because that would be irresponsible. But it's definitely not. It's not off the table, is all I'm saying. And altcoins can still run significantly. They can, some of them probably even double from where they are right now. And just to add a little bit more weight to that is the total 2, basically ricocheting above that 7 simple on the weekly here, and just like Ethereum, it broke out from this significant trend line here, and we're trending above all major moving averages on the weekly, and obviously we'll be seeing a similar kind of vibe to that on the daily, quite neat and tidy, ricocheted off the Bollinger Band Center once again, just like Bitcoin has done, and we are, for the most part, trending and closing above all moving averages of significance. So it does look good. It definitely does look good. It does bode well for further upside on altcoins. And if we're measuring the altcoin strength, or at least the destination of altcoins, this would be where I'd imagine the top to be, or at least a significant estimation of a top on this alt season 2.0, basically, or just around 9 billion. 914 billion, which is a lot. That's where I'll be looking for at least a major rejection. If we break through, excellent. We can target higher, just like we would do for any chart. But resistances until proven otherwise, well, you get a rejection from a resistance, don't you really? Especially a major one like that. Right, so let's move on to XRP, which is what we're here for. XRP on the weekly, again, like most of these stronger altcoins, we're trending above all moving averages. We've had a variety of different ways to look at this. One is the mountain and the molehill and the pump. We have a mountain and a molehill. We'll be looking for a pump now. And if that's the case, we should start to see some brewing momentum on the lower term timeframes. Lower being daily and 4 hourly. So again, by the time you watch this video, don't expect the move to happen immediately because we're looking at what I consider lower term timeframes for large moves. So what do we see? We saw a nice little run up to the 70-cent zone, front running that 71 to 72 cent zone where we found rejection on this instance and also found a bit of a base being carved out in the center. Well, that's not the actual center, but close to the center of this giant, huge purple resistance zone. So this is what the most interesting thing is about XRP, is that effectively we have this giant cycle that runs on a 4-year basis, just like Bitcoin's does. But unfortunately well, I say unfortunately, it depends on how you decide to trade it. But for the most part, we spend a very short amount of time going up and a prolonged period of time going down. This is only the half of the downtrend that took place after the last major peak when it made its all-time high. And then prior to that, we did something similar. You know, this coin's been around for 10 years, right? It's got a 10-year chart history, and it's done the same thing every single time. So what we are looking at is the beginnings of the bullish move on XRP, which should lead to a new all-time high. And by that, all I could mean is, a fraction of a penny above the previous high, right? So I'm not talking huge, massive, huge moves. I don't know, but from a model that so far fits and has continued, we'll be looking for that. And you might argue, well, it didn't make a new all-time high last time, did it? No, it didn't, because on its way up, it got it was told off by the SEC. Volume was not diminished, but it was certainly reduced. And even though it did carry on to make a high of just short of $2, it wasn't enough. Now, XRP does have the green light, and it will likely make its way up to a new all-time high. That's all I'm saying. So, based on what we see on this daily, again, above all major moving averages, golden crosses, we're a bit messy because of this silly wick that happened because of that fake news that came out around about, what was it, BlackRock's wanting an ETF, so something mad like that. Oh, they fought for an ETF. So it kind of broke the chart, and a good example of a breaking a chart is like this. We had a broken chart for XRP before, so we were doing well, we were structured, we were nice, we were tasty, we moved up, and then broke the chart with SEC FUD, broke the chart again with the pump group, if anyone remembers all of that. And then basically you can see that although it was trending and it did try its hardest to continue with its overall direction and cycle, the moving averages weren't exactly at this point now being as relevant as you'd like them to. Not as relevant as they were prior to that FUD and pump group. So again, first move up, consolidation around the 200 exponential and 200 simple, and then rallied onwards and up. And then it basically broke moving averages, as much as they sort of tried to be relevant, they weren't as relevant. Pump group, it tried to be relevant, not quite as relevant. But it generally trended in a particular direction, as you would have expected it to. But it was harder for it because, this stage it was the emotions and the news and all that sort of madness had not broken the chart, but made it harder to get exact entry points if it were to be left to move organically. So we've had a similar kind of vibe here, haven't we? And what we see now is messiness around here and messiness around here, but generally still trending in the right direction. So this is fine. It's just very hard to find a perfect entry point for like a futures trade, which is something that I really like to do with XRP. It's making it harder because you don't want to get caught on the wrong side of an altcoin trade with a with a futures trade with no stop loss, you have to always have a stop loss. It's an essential part of trading. Risk management is probably as important, if not more, than the technicals to which you've used to enter the trade, because you can get wiped out. You don't want to get wiped out. And look at the size of XRP's moves. You can get wiped out in either direction. Just because of the volatility, the nature of it is crazy. And I've been stopped out twice over this last couple of weeks trying to trade this because of the volatility and it not really respecting its moving averages. Look at this 50 exponential. Normally you would expect this to have some relevance. Slice through, slice. So it's hard to enter it in a good way. But from a spot trading perspective, or at least from a where do we expect it to go kind of perspective, it does point to actually making a large move, and this next large move would be higher than the last one. So we'd be looking for this to move up into $1.20, something like that is where I would expect it to move up to trend to like $1.20. Probably have a little stumbling block around the $1 zone, just because it's a nice Captain Noobmaster round number. But if we think about these wicks generally, and again, this is spiky, it's all over the place, and we could put our trend line just through the middle of the majority of it, and we come to around $1.22. And so that would be what I would imagine to be the next local high on this one, which effectively is, pending, really. It's kind of pending. So let's have a look at the momentum on this one. So this is fine because this is a mountain and a molehill, so this is not bearish divergence. This is not created any lower lows, so there is no bullish divergence. What we see is the momentum mimicking the price action, which makes it better in a way to assume the trend is still active and real. And we avoided the death cross. We carried on. We're supported, at least at this stage now, on the daily above the Bollinger Band center, which is 62.94. So really, we'll just call it 63 cents. If we're above 63 cents, it does make it more likely that we're ready for that larger move. The main thing is, people always ask, when's this going to happen? Well, when you're looking at dailies, 3 dailies, weeklies, it's difficult to say, when it's going to happen. Because if I knew, I would go 100x on it, obviously, because this is a big move, and you would expect to make some serious money on it, because that's the direction it's pointing in. We're not overheated on this weekly either, so it's not really a scary scenario as far as I can see, based on the money flow index and being overheated order books. This one can and will likely move up to the previous high, 91, and then up to this level. But the question is, when's it going to do it? Well, the weekly says it's primed to do it. We've got crossed above the 0 point. The momentum's strong. It is ready to do it. The question is, when will it? To add a little bit more weight to the idea that this will pump, we have retests of a 200 exponential on a weekly. We're above all major moving averages. That's good. This hasn't yet generated any kind of pump signal on a weekly, because we did have a pump signal before on the shorter term time frames, but the weekly hasn't got anything like that, because we're above. The cheeky span's above price, it's above the cloud. We've got green portions of the cloud. We're trending above the cloud. We don't have conversion baseline cross above the cloud, which is unfortunate. And that's something that we really want to see on a weekly for a really large move. That's the sort of trending move that you'd expect to see on the later stages of its parabolic move. If we take it to a 3-day, we've not got anything like that either, although we are trending above all moving averages as well. Supported to an extent on moving averages, but nothing really. Golden crosses on simples and exponentials, which is good. So again, when it comes to trend and momentum, it does point to further upside. We just don't have any sort of major catalyst to say that this is what's going to happen right now, because, well, we just don't have that information to hand. We're really going on the back of momentum and strength, which it does have. It's just not ripe and powerful. It's like the keys in the ignition, basically, but no foot on the accelerator. But yeah, it is ready to go, and I would expect it to go if the market remains this way, which is basically static for Bitcoin, static for Ethereum, above those major support levels. Gives a bit more weight to the idea that XRP can develop its own chart and start to trend back up again. Overall, though, I'm happy to hold this. Obviously, you all know I hold an inordinate amount of it, but I just find it, at this moment right now, quite difficult to find an entry point that's acceptable to me to trade it on a futures perspective. It's probably best to be left to either do a very small leverage position, maybe like 2 really, a 2x or something like that, with a wider berth on the stop loss, expecting to be stopped out as well because it has been so wicky recently. And also because of Bitcoin, you know, maybe already having found a top and starting that consolidation. At the moment, when it comes to all altcoins, I would look at Bitcoin as an indicator to buy the dip on. So we did this earlier on in the week, didn't we? A Bitcoin pulled back and was supported here. I said, okay, fine. You buy the dip here. Buy the dip on altcoins. We did it again here. I said, okay, that's fine. I would say that this is still in favor of upside. Buy the dip here, and both of that, you know, both of those entry points have been successful across the board for everything. You know, it's been an everything bounce given to us from Bitcoin pulling back into major support twice in the week and recovering from it. But if we are to ever lose this area, then the dip goes deeper, and you can still buy the dip on altcoins, but we would have lost at this point now the bullish structure on Bitcoin, at least on the daily. And so you should really think about, okay, if we did come down deeper than this, you could buy the dip on altcoins, you should sell the rip, you know, and expect a lower high. And this would be a problem, obviously, for the entire market, and we'd have to take it one step at a time, bit by bit. But what we're presented with right now, and this is the main thing to think about when trading, we can always speculate as what would happen if this were to happen. If we were to start breaking down, then we change the way that we interpret the charts and expect something different. But the way that the charts are presenting right now, although Bitcoin is likely going to go up a little bit more, maybe reach that 48,000 where it does finally top, and then again we can still buy the dips on altcoins and blah blah blah. What we're presented with at the moment is, you know, more than just hopium. It's a trend. It's a continuation of a trend. Effectively, we're looking to move up across the board, and this is again what we're presented with at this very moment in time on these charts as we speak. Things can change. We all know that. We all know that. But right now, that's what it says, and it says if it were to be like this, and if Bitcoin and Ethereum and XRP remain like this position on the chart themselves, then we should expect highs, and for XRP we should expect a new local high, which again is above $1, probably towards $1.20. And that is that. So I'm doing a live stream tonight if you want to join me for that. Patreon links in the description. Other than that, you can just support the channel if you want to. It's no big deal. You don't have to attend. It's just nice to be a member of the Patreon, I imagine, but you do get 2 live streams a week. But if you don't want to do that, that's no big deal. I just hope you have a nice day and take it easy.